Hinduism is a minority religion in the United States. American Hindus in 2008 accounted for an estimated 0.5% of total U.S. population. In 2015, American Hindus accounted for an estimated 0.7% of the total U.S. population, representing an increase of roughly 1 million people. The vast majority of American Hindus are immigrants from India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, the Caribbean and other countries, and the descendants. Additionally, the United States has a number of converts to Hinduism. While there were isolated sojourns by Hindus in the United States during the 19th century, Hindu presence in the United States was extremely limited until the passage of the Immigration and Nationality Services Act of 1965. Currently, Hindu Americans hold the highest education levels among all religious communities in the United States, though this is mostly due to immigration policies that favor educated Hindus. Many concepts of Hinduism, such as karma, reincarnation and yoga, have entered into mainstream American vernacular. For example, 24% of Americans believe in reincarnation, a core concept of Hinduism. Demographics. The United States Department of State's International Religious Freedom Report 2004 found some 1.5 million adherents of Hinduism, corresponding to 0.5% of the total population. The Hindu population of USA is the world's 8th largest. 10% of Asian Americans are followers of the Hindu faith. Statistically, American Hindus have the highest rates of educational attainment and household income among all religious communities, and tend to have lower divorce rates. 48% of American Hindus hold a postgraduate degree, according to a study by the Pew Research Center's Forum on Religion and Public Life in 2012. 48% of American Hindus have a household income of $100,000 or more, and 70% make at least $75,000. History. Anandibai Joshi is believed to be the first Hindu woman to set foot on American soil, arriving in New York in June 1883 at the age of 19. She graduated with an MD from the Women's Medical College of Pennsylvania on the 11th of March 1886, becoming the first female of Indian origin to study and graduate with a degree in medicine in the United States. She returned to India in late 1886. One of the first major discussions of Hinduism in the United States was Swami Vivekananda's address to the World's Parliament of Religions in Chicago in 1893. He spent 2 years in the United States, and lectured in several cities including Detroit, Boston, and New York. In 1902, Swami Ramatirtha visited the U.S. for about 2 years lecturing on the philosophy of Vedanta. In 1920, Paramahansa Yogananda was India's delegate at the International Congress of Religious Liberals held in Boston. Prior to 1965, Hindu immigration to the United States was minuscule and isolated, with fewer than 50,000 Indians immigrating before 1965. It is worth noting that although most of these immigrants were Punjabi Sikhs, they were incorrectly and derogatorily referred to as Hindus by many Americans, as well as in some official immigration documents. The Bellingham riots in Bellingham, Washington on September 5, 1907 epitomized the low tolerance in the USA for Indians and Hindus. In the 1923 case United States v. Bhagat Singh Thind, the Supreme Court ruled that Thind and other South Asians were not free white persons, according to a 1790 federal law that stated that only white immigrants could apply for naturalized citizenship. The Immigration Act of 1924 prohibited the immigration of Asians such as Middle Easterners and Indians. This further prevented Hindus from immigrating to the United States. Despite such a events. Some people, including professionals, stayed and worked until the Immigration and Nationality Services Act of 1965 was passed. This opened the doors to Hindu immigrants who wished to work and start families in the United States. It included Hindu preachers as well, who spread awareness of the religion among the people who had little or no contact with it. Also during the 1960s, Hindu teachers found resonance in the U.S. counterculture, leading to the formation of a number of neo-Hindu movements such as the International Society for Krishna Consciousness founded by Swami Prabhupada. People involved in the counterculture such as Ram Dass, George Harrison, and Allen Ginsberg were influential in the spread of Hinduism in the United States. Ram Dass was a Harvard professor known as Richard Alpert, and after being fired from Harvard was receiving a lot of media coverage. He traveled to India and studied under Neem Karoli Baba and came back to the West as a Hindu teacher and changed his name to Ram Dass, which means servant of Ram. A student of Ram Dass, Jeffrey Cagle, devoted his life to Hinduism in the 60s and is now making many CDs chanting the sacred mantras or spiritual verses. He has been very successful and is considered the rock star of yoga. George Harrison was a member of the Beatles, which in its peak of popularity was receiving more media coverage than any other band in the world. He became a devotee of Swami Prabhupada, who was the founder of ISKCON. George Harrison started to record songs with the words Hare Krishna in the lyrics and was widely responsible for popularizing Hinduism in America with the younger generation of the time. Allen Ginsberg, the author of Howl, became a figure in the 60s that was also heavily involved with Hinduism, and it was said that he chanted Om at the Human Being of 1967 for hours on end. Other influential Indians of a Hindu faith are Chinmoy and Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. A joint session of the United States Congress was opened with a prayer in Sanskrit, read by Venkatachalapathy Samudrala in September 2000, to honor the visit of Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The historic gesture was an initiative by Ohio Congressman Sherrod Brown, who requested the U.S. Congress House chaplain to invite the Hindu priest for the Shiva Vishnu Hindu temple in Parma, Ohio. Another Hindu prayer was read in the United States Senate on July 12, 2007, by Rajan Z., a Hindu chaplain from Nevada. His prayer was interrupted by a couple and the daughter who claimed to be Christian patriots, which prompted a criticism of candidates in the upcoming presidential election for not criticizing the remarks. In October 2009, President Barack Obama lit a ceremonial Diwali lamp at the White House to symbolize victory of light over darkness. According to the Bhutan News Service, 75,000 exiled Bhutanese refugees have been resettled in USA since 2008, and many more Bhutanese refugees are resettling in United States of America continuously. Hinduism is the major religion of Bhutanese refugees who resettle in USA. Hindu temples. The Vedanta Society was responsible for building some early temples in USA starting in 1906, but they were not formal temples. Earliest traditional Hindu temple in the United States is Shiva Murugan Temple, Concord, CA, known as Palaniswami Temple. It is one of the few temples that is run by public by-elected members. The Mahavallabhaganapathy Devasthanam, owned by the Hindu Temple Society of North America in Flushing, New York City, was consecrated on July 4, 1977. This temple recently underwent significant expansion and renovation. Today there are over 450 Hindu temples across the United States, spread across the country, with the majority of them situated on the East Coast, centered around the New York region, which alone has over 135 temples, the next largest number being in Texas with 28 temples and Massachusetts with 27 temples. Other prominent temples include the Malibu Hindu Temple, built in 1981 and located in Calabasas, is owned and operated by the Hindu Temple Society of Southern California. The temple is near Malibu, California. Apart from these, Swaminarayan temples exist in several cities across the country with a sizable following. The oldest Hindu temple in Texas is the Sri Raseshwara Radha Rani Temple at Radhamadhav Dham, Austin. The temple, established by Jagadguru Sri Kripaluji Maharaj, is one of the largest Hindu temple complexes in the Western Hemisphere, and the largest in North America. In Tampa, South Florida, Sri Vishnu Temple is established before about 160 years. Parashakthi Temple in Pontiac, Michigan is a Tirthapeetham in the West for goddess Shakthi, referred to as the Great Divine Mother in Hinduism. The temple was envisioned by Dr. G. Krishnakumar in a deep meditative Kundalini experience of Adi Shakthi in 1994. The Indian American Cultural Center opened on March 9, 2002, in Merrillville, Northwest Indiana. It was in 2010, on June 18, that the temple was finalized and opened, the Bharatiya Temple of Northwest Indiana. This temple is adjacent to the cultural center. In the native way of Hinduism, one would never see different sectarian groups worship in one temple. The Bharatiya Temple is unique in its own way by allowing different sectarian groups to worship together. The Bharatiya Temple has 4 different Hindu groups as well as a Jain group. Sri Samsvara Temple opened in May 2011 in Clyde, North Carolina. It is located near Asheville, North Carolina, in the heart of Mount Soma, a Vastu community in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The temple was built to help people live true to their innate spirituality and uphold the purity of the Vedas. Sri Samsvara Temple is run by a Vedic Pandit who performs Vedic ceremonies daily. There are many Hindu temples in the United States, and too many to be listed.